All right, Ryan, you're back, man. How you doing? It's been a while since we've seen you.
Doing well, back down to light heavyweight, which is good. This time I have a little more heads up notice, have some time, so I did it right. Cut my weight. My weight's good. So going into this fight, I got that kind of out of the way. Where last time was a little bit of a kind of a shock. Only 3 or 4 weeks I've noticed to go down to light heavyweight. So feeling great. Looking forward to this Grand Prix. A lot of tough fighters, exciting tournament, and I won that heavyweight Grand Prix, and I'm looking to come down to light heavyweight and do it again. But I love these tournaments.
Yeah, and I think when you lost your last fight, a lot of people thought, hey, he's going to go back up to heavyweight. So was that kind of the plan, and then the Grand Prix threw the monkey wrench in it?
Yeah. So it was to defend the heavyweight belt. I was going to fight Tim Johnson potentially in early March, and then we were waiting for this whole Showtime deal to go through and all that kind of stuff. So that was going on at the same time, and so then they came up and asked us if we wanted to do the light heavyweight tournament in the Grand Prix, and would rather us do that. And so we said, whatever you want us to do, we'd love to enter another Grand Prix. And he kind of asked them too, what about the heavyweight belt? And he's like, well, we'll figure that out. You're keeping it for right now. And we'll go forward and see what happens. So that was kind of how that whole ordeal worked out.
Yeah. And the last fight, what did you take away from it? Like, did you think there was just the short notice? Did you think it was just kind of a combination of things? What do you attribute that defeat to?
Man, I can make a lot of excuses because there are a lot, but at the end of the day, I got kicked in the head. He was throwing a combination, he was throwing a 1-2, and I kept slipping to the outside and kept doing it over and over again. And in my head, I thought, all right, it's time to pick it up. I did go out there, I took him down, I won that first round on all the judges' scorecards after looking at that. But then in my head, I'm like, all right, you need to pick it up. Start bringing the fight to him. Use your feints, use your takedowns, and that's when I got kicked. I backed up to the fence, and he threw a beautiful combo and got me. It's just one of those things that happens. MMA, sometimes it's not your night. I felt flat out there. Just felt like it wasn't me out there. But it is what it is. He went out there and beat me on that night. So for me, I could have called for an immediate rematch and this and that, but to be able to do this in this Grand Prix tournament and potentially, win a belt back by going through this Grand Prix and beating these killers that are in here, that's the sweetest way. And so that was intriguing to me when they came to me with that light heavyweight, because I could have kind of went back and just stayed at heavyweight.
Yeah. Are you a guy that kind of lets losses go once they happen, or do you kind of ruminate on them a little bit and see what you can?
Yeah, I'm a competitor.
Yeah.
I've always been super competitive, and so anytime I lose, I think about it and I stew over it for a week or something, and but I do let them go at the end of the day, or I try to really learn from them. And if you've looked throughout my career, whenever I've had a loss, it's one of those things where I rebuild and go on a great streak after. Maybe rework some things or get in the right mental frame. And so I don't necessarily always look at it as a bad thing. It is what it is. In the sport, you're going to take losses. And so for me, it's, do I want revenge back for the guys I lost? Sure. I'm fighting Machida, a guy I lost to in 2012. Potentially have the ability to fight somebody I've lost to on the other side of the bracket, and Anthony Johnson and Nemkov. So it's one of those things that it's just a little sweeter, but at the end of the day, you got a fight in front of you. Go out there and win that fight, and it'll take care of itself.
For sure. And that first fight against Machida was like almost 9 years ago. So for you, can you even really take anything away from that first fight, or is it just so different now?
Yeah, not really. Anytime you're in there with somebody, you can take a little bit away. For me in that first fight, what I took away, I was like, man, he's really fine with kind of circling around and throwing a little pop shot. And he would do that the whole fight, and he's fine with that. I got a little overzealous, and I was terrible with my stand-up at that point and thought I could just run in there, and then he obviously just sat there and watched me come in. I was wide open and just, I might as well took his fist and punched myself. It's one of those deals. But what I can take away from that is, you got to be patient, but at the same time, got to bring the fight to him. He is fine fighting that certain way, and so long ago, I'm a different fighter. I've won championships. I've done, Grand Prix, all this kind of stuff, fought the who's who of MMA, so it's a lifetime ago for me.
For sure, yeah. And talk about that a little bit, the puzzle of Machida, because I think that's kind of the thing that remains is like, he's still got that style. He's still kind of a tricky guy to figure out. So do you feel like you've cracked the code all these years later?
Machida is definitely tricky, and he has some certain things he's looking for. He uses his karate background pretty extensively. Last couple fights, I feel like he's kind of just being even more, patient and kind of really, really picking his shots. Maybe he doesn't want to get in a firefight or whatnot. But we trained a lot of karate also, to know his game. Brought in, some karate instructors, Hiroshi Allen, Richard Mosana, and just kind of immerse myself in there and kind of learn from them. Brought karate guys into spar, so I see what they're looking for, see that, timing, their movement, all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like, this fight's totally different because I'm a different fighter.
For sure, man. And you talked about earlier about how you were maybe going to fight Tim Johnson at heavyweight. What's kind of the future, do you think, for the heavyweight title? I mean, if you keep advancing, it could be another year. So do you think eventually you'll have to give it up, or what do you think's going on?
No, I don't think I'm not giving him up, giving it up.
Yeah.
Number one, because I could have fought there, but Bellator came to me and asked if I wanted to do this tournament and said I could keep this belt. Maybe an interim belt going on, but I mean, that's up to, Tim Johnson. He's the number one contender. I know we agreed on this fight, and he's been looking great in 3 wins. And it's just one of those things, does he want to fight for an interim belt and then we can unify it? Or does he want to wait for the actual title shot, because that's always, a gamble too. At the end of the day, I want to be active, barring any injuries. I go out there and win this tournament, I'll be ready a couple months after that finals, So it's really kind of up to Bellator and up to him.
Gotcha. And I guess last question, how do you see this fight on Friday playing out? How does it go down differently this time?
Yeah, I'm going to be patient, but at the same time, I'm going to be aggressive, and pick my times when I go in and get out and use my wrestling, use my striking, and mix it all together. In the first fight, I got frustrated and went in, but I feel like I have way more tools. I can see things now. I know what he's looking for. My whole game has just gotten better from my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu, my striking, and just my fight IQ. And my cardio is amazing right now. So I just feel like the perfect storm's kind of brewing, and he can do what he does, but I just feel like I've grown so much since that last fight that I have to watch out for what he does and look out for his trickery, but at the same time fight how I know how I can fight.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck on Friday.
Appreciate it.